Marshall skips away, Marshall skips away, Marshall's still going, Marshall's got Richards coming up outside, now inside.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing.
Bennett and the Dragons win the grand final.
Whips that one away, and Kane Williamson and his team now World Test champions.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the TGIF podcast. Thank God it's footy. Thank God it's Friday. Back again for another week. Last show for a wee while with any sort of major rugby league chat, but we'll be bringing you the goods over the summer regarding any sort of interesting news or player movements, etc. But, you know, plenty of round ball footy to enjoy over the next few weeks. We can rip into that in a bit, but first of all, do my usual, touch in with my mate across from me here. Nat, how was your week?
Yeah, g'day everyone. Good to be back as always, and bit of a delay in getting this one out to you, a bit of a different recording day. Like you said, thank God it's Friday. It is a Friday, and we are a little bit late on in the week, but we're sort of getting down to the nitty-gritty part of the year. Especially in my workplace, it's been a big one. It's been a busy week, sort of smashing out all the bits and pieces you got to do with reports and all that sort of stuff. And but nah, it's been good. Like you said, we've had to say goodbye to the rugby league, which is sad. But there's still plenty of sport that's been on, and like you said, lots of round ball footy to watch. But no, it was a good week, bit of a busy one, bit of a shocker here in terms of the weather for us and Tamaki Makaurau. It's been I reckon we've probably had more rain these last 5 or 6 days than we had all of winter.
Yeah, it's been pretty shocking.
We've had
wet,
a couple of big downpours.
Horrible, yeah.
We've had a couple of we had a blast of, is it a blast of thunder, a boom of thunder the other day? It must have been on Saturday, I think it was, a boom of thunder that both me and my mum, we both jumped. It was unreal. It sounded like it was someone on top of our roof, you know, letting something off, like a big cascade bomb or something like that. It was huge. But yeah, no, it's been a good week. You got yourself out last weekend and got yourself out for a bit of a shindig?
Yeah, on Saturday night, bit of 60-60 or whatever. Yeah, it was a pretty good show. Pretty fat, you know, enjoyed it. Shout out to the lads. Brought the Black Ferns out at the end, and yeah, it was a really good show. But shall we crack on with a bit of footy?
Yeah, there's been a couple of big pieces of news to come out over the last week or so, and I think, you know, everyone could see something brewing up here in terms of this, and I guess it's the big man, Cristiano Ronaldo, and leaving Man United. They've parted ways.
Yeah, look, I think, like you said, it's probably expected. Yeah, makes perfect sense off the back of the interview that he gave to Piers Morgan, to be fair. So I'm sure you've all
slandered
seen that.
Everyone.
But yeah, what's next for Ronaldo, eh?
I
We shall see.
reckon he heads to somewhere like the MLS.
America, possibly.
Yeah,
I think he's still quite keen to play Champions League, but whether a team in Europe is
best, I don't know if there's
interested
anywhere
in
that's best suited for him, possibly.
37-year-old
But
striker, but
you know, there's a bit of talk as well, possibly that he could head off to the Middle East. I can't remember it may have been Al Ain, possibly the club that I'd seen in this article, but I'm sure there's a few clubs over there that would be keen to get him around. I know I've seen an article, I didn't read it, but I've seen an article with the old A-League talks, you know. Can you imagine that? That would go down as the best ever marquee signing for the A-League.
oh yeah.
You know, can you see him getting a nice penthouse apartment, maybe down in windy Wellington? Possibly not.
Or
Maybe
if
more
he-
suited to the coast of in Sydney there, possibly, or up on the Gold Coast, you know, somewhere on the beach where it's a bit nicer. But you know, he could go anywhere. I think probably the MLS or the Middle East would be the two places I can see him going. But it's even as an Arsenal fan, or I think as any neutral fan, it's sad to see him leave the Premier League. We know what a character he is.
It is sad, but yeah, I suppose all eras come to an end, and the second stint at Man United has come to an end now. So yeah,
Short and sweet,
but yeah, be good to see him turning out in the yellow and black of the Phoenix,
exactly.
as you just envisioned. But somehow find it being a little bit unlikely, but we shall see.
I guess when you say, speaking of end of an era, I guess it's a bit of a theme in terms of a few of the things we've got here that's happened over the last few weeks. Is there another possible era ending there at United? There's talks of the Glazers wanting to sell the club.
Yeah, look, I'm not too sure whether that's them expressing interest that they're keen to sell, or maybe they've received a tempting offer. Be interesting to see what happens, whether they do get new owners or continue under the Glazers. I know the United fans seem to be pretty unhappy. So yeah, if they do get new owners, will they return to the top, or do we see more of a continuation of this sort of shit show that we've been seeing over the last few years since Fergie left? Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. It's I guess it's one of those things I'm not too worried about whether or not they continue on having a bit of a shit show, but it's it would be big if they were to sell.
I've heard it's in the region of around £6 to £7 billion, so
fucking hell,
a good chunk of money required to buy yourself a football club. I think that's
astronomical.
Looking at 2 or 3 times as much as what Bowley paid for Chelsea, so
that's
probably makes sense.
That's an unreal amount of money, but if they sell,
I'm sure there's plenty of fellas around the
around
Gulf region
keen to get involved in a bit of Man United. I'm sure we know what type of brand the club comes with. It's possibly the club that many people think of when you think of football. You think of Man United, I guess. But yeah, pretty crazy. And then I guess another era there, possibly ending. Martin Guppy.
Yeah, well, look, we saw Martin Guptill omitted from the playing 11 during the World Cup in favour of the young swashbuckling Finn Allen. And off the back of being omitted from the T20 and one-day squads for the home series against India, he's decided to make a U-turn on his Central New Zealand contract, joining the likes of Bolty and Colin de Grandhomme and Jimmy Neesham. So yeah, looks like Guppy will be swanning around the world, earning some good coin, smacking some sixes in those domestic leagues, and we may see a little bit less of him in the black shirt. But I think signs were already been shown. Finn Allen's been backed for a number of games now, so yeah. Do we see our old mate Guppy, leading international T20 run scorer of all time?
I don't know if you've seen this, but speaking of going and smacking some sixes in these domestic leagues, he has signed for the Melbourne Renegades for the Big Bash.
There we go.
That'll be good to see. He'll be smacking some sixes over there. He is getting on.
Yeah, that's 36. What I was about to say. Bolty, de Grandhomme, Neesham, Guppy, they're all sort of coming into the latter years of their careers, so they deserve to, like I said, swan around the world, earning some good coin, playing in those 2020 leagues. I think it's, well deserved, and sad to see, but looks like the Black Caps will have to look to go in a new direction.
Do we see him possibly in a couple of years maybe getting involved in a bit of the old Auckland club cricket scene? He's in Auckland? Is he an Aucklander?
Yeah, I think he played for what's the cricket club?
Grafton.
Suburbs, Newland.
Suburbs, Newland.
Yeah.
Well, does he have a brother that plays, or am I thinking of?
I think he has a cousin.
Is that Guptill Bunce? I'm thinking of Guptill Bunce.
Michael Guptill Bunce, I think. Yeah.
Possibly, yeah. I think he may play somewhere over there. I guess that's probably us. There's probably nothing else really too newsworthy that we can touch on. I guess we have a look at a little bit of betting. There's not really been much over the last week or so.
Yeah. Well, nothing really confirmed or denied as of yet. Your Suarez tip still in play, and nothing to report from me. I was a bit slack and didn't provide you any tips, and I don't think I have this week either, but I'll look to get involved in finding you punters out there some value over the next couple of weeks as I sort of start to analyse some patternry and performances of certain teams and players at the World Cup. So keep an eye out, but I believe you topped up your kitty nicely.
I did actually.
I just 3-leg multi. 3-leg or 4-leg was it?
A little 3-leg. I was actually. I'd had a look. I did myself a bit of a buggery here because I spoke about this Suarez red card, the old Ned's World Cup specials, and I never actually placed the bet myself. So I went back in a few days ago to try and do it, and it's gone. So a little bit disappointed there, but I guess when the game does come around, I'll see if there's an option there that I can chuck on and get him involved. But you're right, I did have a little bet that came through. I just went on the other day, late at night. I was watching a bit. I don't know what game it was, possibly Argentina, Saudi Arabia. The first half of that game there, and I thought I'd chuck a few bets on, and I managed to pull off. I didn't pull off anything on that night. I had a couple that were almost just by one. I had Denmark, Tunisia not getting me through, and then I had obviously Japan there taking the dub, which didn't get me through. But I had a nice little win on a we'd been watching the cricket. We'd just been watching the cricket, and so I'd seen this horse there that popped up, bowl first, and I thought, it's an omen. You've got to get on him. So I put a cheeky $2 on him. Came back through with a bit of moolah, so I thought we'll go ahead and we'll put another little $2 bet on, and I had Brazil to come through, I had Portugal to come through, and then I had the Uruguay-Korea game coming out as a draw. So a nice little small one, but I do have a bet here, I guess, in the waiting. It is a little multi, and it is involving a few of the games we're going to see over the next few days. Now, if you're wanting to get on it, it's not going to get you too much. I've put on 240. The 40 cents. It was the leftovers. It was the spare change. It was what we had left sitting there. So I've added it in there, and it's going to get you about $25 back. Now it's Wales to come away with the dub against Iran. It's Senegal to come away with the win against Qatar. Netherlands to come through with a dub against Ecuador, and then fingers crossed England can come away with a win there against USA, and a nice little $25. So if you want to get involved in something like that, go ahead. But
I like it.
Same as you, I will be having a look, seeing if there's anything over the next week or so that I like the look of. Maybe the first hat trick. We haven't seen a hat trick yet in the World Cup. I'm sure there'll be a couple of players there that will be hoping to add to that goal tally there. Maybe a red card. We also haven't seen a red card yet in this tournament, so still plenty more football to be played. So still a lot more time to get a few tips in there for you listeners. But I've given you one. Don't complain too much. We've given you one. So if it comes through, you can thank me later. But we'll look to get a little bit more involved. But I guess it's probably time to touch into the Great Rugby League for the very last time here on TGIF for this year in terms of any reviews and previews, and it's a little bit of a review of this Rugby League World Cup Grand Final between Samoa and the mighty Kangaroos.
Yeah, look, Kangaroos obviously coming away with the victory there. Congratulations to them. 30-10 victors over Samoa. Shout out to James Tedesco, man of the match, the Australian skipper. But yeah, look, to be honest, I feel more gutted about this one, in a way, than I do about the Kiwis being knocked out the week before. Even though, I've got Australian family, and if you've seen the colour of my skin, it's pretty obvious I don't have any Samoan ties, but I guess we all just love an underdog, really, and unlucky to the Usos. They've been pretty phenomenal all tournament long, but look, the Kangaroos, they're just another beast altogether, really, and you pretty much have to play the perfect game and have things go in your favour to have a chance. And I think early on there were possibly one or two errors from the Samoans and a dodgy decision or two from the referees that might have cost them. Potentially just staying in the game early, that early momentum, and once you go 10, 14 nil down, you're not really much hope getting yourself back in the game against the Kangaroos. They'll just grind you down.
I was definitely pretty gutted, I got to say as well, to see Samoa lose this one. You can hear it in the demeanour of us. Listen to the tone. We're not overly happy. It's not the result we were looking for, that's for sure. Excuse me. We were really hoping that Samoa could come away with the win, and I think it was always going to be a bit of a tough one here for them. And right from the get-go, what was it, the second minute or something like that, when they didn't get that 40-20 call.
Yeah.
It sort of looked like it could be an uphill battle. So yeah, a little bit disappointing, but like you said, when you sort of you give away a little bit of a lead like that, it is hard to fight back, and when you're up against a team like the Kangaroos, in a game like this with all the big game experience that they have, you're really putting yourself up for a bit of a fight. So it was unfortunate to see, but you have to give credit where credit is due. Well done to the Kangaroos on this one. They did put in a pretty solid performance, I thought, throughout most of the game.
Yeah, look, if you look back on it in hindsight, how can you really go past this Kangaroos side, like you said, with the big game experience that they've racked up and quality across the park and in all positions, really. Look, the other nations are certainly strengthening and getting close, but I certainly don't think the rest of those nations there, particularly the island nations, are quite at that level of quality and depth. Possibly have a couple of superstars to match, but yeah, look, the Kiwis are probably the closest in terms of quality across the park, but yeah, is there maybe just also a mental edge that the Kangaroos have over us and the other countries, like we see the Black Caps struggle so often up against the Australians in cricket. Hopefully in a couple of World Cups time we can see it a bit more like the Rugby and Football World Cups, where any one of 5, 6 or 7 nations can go in and win the damn thing.
That'd be awesome, eh?
Yeah, for now it's just a case of trying to get up to the level of the Aussies.
Bit of a chase, eh? Definitely, it's a bit of a chase for the rest of the nations there. I've seen talk about possibly do Tonga and Samoa maybe become tier 1 nations. After these last couple of years where they've been able to build. That'd be interesting, obviously.
I think the way it works now, they'd have to change how you class a tier 1 nation. It's based on a combination of international results, but also the fact that you need to have like a professional league in your country, and so of course it's a bit rough to say New Zealand have a professional league, with us playing over it in the Australian NRL, and I don't think those local, Barter Cup lads would be on too much that you could consider them fully fledged professionals, but I think that's part of the reason why Samoa and Tonga aren't tier 1 nations. I could be wrong though. Could have just been sent down a rabbit hole by some random article, but yeah, it seems like they'll have to change the way they determine Tier 1 nations.
I'm just looking up now, but it says here... Yeah, did you just see this article recently?
A week or so ago.
I've just seen something here. It just says that by the looks of it, it's set to deny both nations a promotion.
Yeah.
IRL is set to deny. I'm just sort of scrolling through here. No, I don't. Yeah, I can't see anything that either confirms or denies what you've sort of seen there.
But
no, here you go, yeah. It also takes into account domestic competitions, participation levels, and governance arrangements.
So that'll be the main reason why they're not Tier 1, because they don't have like a professional league.
Yeah.
They won't have a lot of like local clubs, junior clubs and stuff. But when you look at the side they've got,
I like it the way it works.
Certainly a Tier 1 side.
Yeah.
But look, hopefully this run here from the Samoans is a sign of things to come in the future. It's been awesome seeing over the last few World Cups someone else rather than Australia, England or New Zealand being a chance and racking up big wins. We're seeing the likes of Tonga and Samoa do it, and PNG might just be that maybe Fiji as well will look to be that next country to join the pack and make it a bit more of a competitive field. But I thought one thing that I did see that made a lot of sense was it would be nice to see if they could suss a neutral referee for games like these, particularly the big ones where the Kangaroos are involved. Look, I know it's a bit loose to be questioning, referees' integrity and whether or not they're giving their own country some dodgy calls, but the optics of it, an Australian refereeing Australia in a World Cup final.
That's a bit off, eh?
I don't think you'd ever see it in any other sport.
Nah, not at all.
I think they definitely...
He's one of the best
I think
around.
They avoid it. I'm not 100% sure on cricket, but they definitely avoid it in rugby, and they definitely avoid it in, football and other sports. But like you say, one of the best, but definitely something seems a bit off about it, having an Australian referee, and I guess it would just be one less talking point for the Australians if they did it with a Kiwi or an English referee.
Yeah, I think that's it definitely had a little bit to play. There's been a bit of talk about it, obviously, and like I said, one of the best referees out there, but it definitely did feel off. Sort of having Ashley Klein out there in the middle, but it's also tough, I guess, when you look at where the majority of the highest quality rugby league referees are. They probably are, but Australians.
Yeah, I think.
That probably comes into play quite a bit.
I think you'd say probably 9 or 10 of the top 10 are all Australian. So
it is. It's tough.
Fair. It's tough to figure out the logistics and stuff of it, but yeah.
But you got to do something.
The optics, like it'd be good if Henry Perinara was still around and he could have reffed that one as a Kiwi, but who knows? Have to wait and see. They have to get more Kiwi, good quality Kiwi and English rugby league referees so that we can...
Or any other nation other than Australian, really.
Yeah.
You can be... If you could be St. Lucian, you could be from Barbados, you may be from Azerbaijan, it doesn't really matter where you are, but if you're interested in getting yourself involved in a little bit of rugby league refereeing, and your passport comes from anywhere other than Australia, get involved because we'd love to see you at a big game. We'd love to see you in an Origin. We'd love to see you in an NRL Grand Final, and we'd love to see you in a Rugby League World Cup. Hopefully, reffing New Zealand up against someone in the future.
Yep, I like it. Although if it was New Zealand versus Tonga or New Zealand versus Samoa, no problems. Ashley Klein.
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
Here's the whistle.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's probably about it for the the Rugby League.
I guess we say say
Yeah.
bon voyage. We say see you soon.
Bid it farewell for now, but November, end of November, it's probably not going to be long until we start looking at those pre-season fixtures.
Well, we've had some
The club
pre-seasons
World
obviously
Cup
in order
challenge and-
already. The clubs are obviously already out there training, especially those teams that had a few shockers. I've seen the first pictures of the new big bloke for the Tigers there. And he's looking like a beast, eh? He's looking like a beast. But it's early days. So
Big Dave.
so the time will tell. But we will keep you updated, like we said, with any big news in terms of rugby league over the next wee while. But it's that time of the year. It's not that time of the year. It's the first time it's been this time of the year, but it's that time of the year, and that is World Cup time. Now it's over there in Qatar. There's been lots of controversy. There's been lots of things going on in the background. Lots of things that are on in the foreground. People talking about the fact that we need to boycott it and things like that. But we're not here for FIFA. We're not here for the Qatari organisers. We're here for the lads out there on the pitch. So that's what we're here to talk about. Now, I think, first of all, we had a bit of a record broken with this first game. Qatar becoming the first host nation to lose the opening game of a World Cup.
Yeah. Look, first shout out of the World Cup obviously has to go to Enner Valencia there, snagging a brace for Ecuador, and like you said, Qatar, the first nation to lose their opening fixture. Not good really, but probably expected if you look at the sides on paper.
Yeah, I think probably one of those games that you do pick the team there to the host team to lose. It's one of those really rough ones. It kind of obviously a weird situation to have Qatar here as this host nation, and it's not a nation that is synonymous with football. They've done well to, I think, get this team together the way that they have, and I think probably a lot of teams. I think even Ecuador probably would have been a little bit worried going into this one. They probably wouldn't have been too overly confident, but they did. They managed to get the win. I only saw the highlights. I didn't get to watch it live. It would have been cool to see live the first game of the World Cup, but kind of seemed like a bit of a reserve team up against the first team sort of vibe. I don't want to bag them too hard, but I think the rest of this World Cup may be a little bit tough for them.
Yeah, look, obviously it's well documented that Qatar, did not get the World Cup in traditional circumstances, and like you said, not a traditional footballing nation. And it's looking pretty tough for them. Not sure if it's going to get any easier from there, but look, well done to Ecuador, I suppose. Unlucky Qatar. There's not much else you can say on it, really. On to the next game. England. Shout out to England, racking up the goals in there.
Huge one.
Big one over
Definitely
Iran.
I wasn't expecting that, that's for sure.
Looking like, they'll cruise through the group at this stage. USA and Wales had a bit of a end-to-end affair. Well, not end-to-end. I think first half America dominated and second half Wales dominated, and the scoreline showed 1-0 USA at half-time and 1-1 at full-time. So, those two will obviously be a lot tougher games than what Iran put out on the day. I know Iran definitely like to back themselves as a better side than that. I think this is the only group with all four teams ranked inside the top 20, so on paper it's the group of death, but look, England looking in pretty good form, and looking like they'll go on through, but a bit of worrying news for them. Harry Kane going off with a knock and set to have some scans, I believe. So that could be a worrying one for England. I'm sure Callum Wilson will do the job up front, but if Harry Kane's picked up anything that, sustains throughout the tournament, that'll be a big blow for England's chances, I believe.
I guess the only plus to take is that he didn't even need to score. They didn't need him to score. Sorry for them to rack up 6. Obviously, got a couple of good assists.
Yeah.
But they managed to find goal scorers elsewhere, and always one of those teams. You kind of, at least over the last sort of like 10 or so years, it's hard for me to go into a game watching England thinking that they're going to do well, just because of the way they sort of have played in some of these big tournaments. So I didn't think this game was going to go like that, but they did well to pick up the win there. But not really too big of a challenge, I guess. When you think about it, Iran. Right on to Mehdi Taremi, he'll be looking to get a couple more goals. Managed to get himself 2 there in that game. So there was a big head clash as well. I didn't get to see that. I've seen it after, but
very brutal,
real gnarly.
Goalkeeper, spent like 10 minutes on the ground. So hoping he's all right, but unlikely. I think that he'll play for the rest of the tournament. But yeah, shout out to one of our main men from Clubland, Bukayo Saka, also grabbing himself 2 really, really good goals. I believe also man of the match. So well done. It's great to see him tearing it up for England as well. And yeah, a few other really good performances from England. So they'll be hoping to build on it. And yeah, maybe they're just not carrying as many scars as the previous England sides.
Yeah.
That's why they're coming out with a bit more confidence. But
slightly fresher looking team.
Southgate's obviously works his magic come tournament time, and England fans will be hoping that he can continue to wave his magic wand and keep them going for as long as he can. But probably the biggest talking point of the round, the biggest shout out from me, goes to Saudi Arabia for knocking off Messi and his Argentinian juggernaut of a side. I believe that's their first loss in 30-odd competitive
something
games.
Like 38 games or something like that.
Was it since the last World Cup? They won the Copa America. They might have lost in the Copa America, but yeah,
it was unreal. It's been, I guess, the talking point so far of the World Cup has been, these sort of. There's been a couple of big upsets, but I don't think there's anything bigger than this. I saw something that said it's the I don't know how they rank it like this, but it's gone down as like officially the biggest upset in a World Cup game ever. So I don't know what the parameters are there to be counted for that.
Like highest ranked side versus lowest ranked side.
Yeah, but it'll be something like that. But it's pretty
or
bloody
like
awesome to
squad
see.
value.
Yes,
disparity.
Something like that.
I saw something that the Argentinian squad's worth like 350 million, and the Saudi squad's worth 25 million.
Yeah, and like there'd be probably at least half of that value would be for 3 of their players, and one of them's gone down injured already. So, and that, for me, I was pretty stoked. I've got a bit of a, like I think I might have said something about it last week. I'm not sure, a bit of an affinity to a few of these Saudi Arabian lads from a FIFA career mode back in the day with Al Hilal. So I've kind of, I guess you could say, adopted Al Hilal as like a second team, sort of, but they'd be the team I'm backing at this World Cup.
Saudi, since the All Whites aren't there.
Yeah, and like if you want to slander me and say that I'm just jumping on the bandwagon, you're more than welcome. But
I can back him up. He's supported. At least he supported Al Hilal, and he's loved.
I frothed Saudi at the last World Cup, so it's been a wee while.
The day Saudi Arabia were announced to be a team on FIFA, this man was very, very excited.
I was straight in there. But it's somewhere I'd like to go one day to watch a game of footy. I'd love to go over to Saudi Arabia and get myself an Al Hilal shirt and watch a game over there. preferably in the next couple of years, while you've got Al Faraj, Al Dasari, and Al Sharani there, ripping it up for them. And when you think about this, like you said, that disparity between value, that disparity between rankings, for a team like Saudi Arabia to pull off a win here, I was gutted because I watched a bit of it up until half time and then turned it off and went to sleep. And really, if I should have, I'm kind of glad maybe I didn't, because I would have probably seen those 2 goals that came sort of quite early in that second half and ended up staying up for the rest of the second half. But I was a bit disappointed I didn't manage to see it. But that second goal I thought was pretty nice. Al Dasari managed to bring it down and curl it into the far side there, past the keeper. But yeah, definitely, what an upset, eh? Like,
such a good result. Yeah, definitely. For anyone that's not, I guess, an Argentinian or Messi fan, there's certainly a lot of them out there that will be very disappointed. But yeah, how good. I see Saudi Arabia even declared the day after, or maybe it was the day as a public holiday. So good on them.
Yeah, a national holiday, pretty bloody cool. It's one of those things that'll go down in history forever. Like, especially if it does go down as Messi's last World Cup, which I'd say most likely it will. The reason why he didn't make out of the group stages, imagine that. Saudi Arabia, forever. People would be talking about it. So, it's history, and it's cool to. It's cool to see things like this, and big tournaments. So like you said earlier, people love the underdog. So it's it's awesome to see.
Yeah, really, really good. A few other games to touch on, as well, of course. Tunisia, I thought, doing well to pick up a clean sheet and a point against the Danes there. Probably a couple of goals that each side could have scored, but I think on the end of the day, a draw was pretty fair, and Tunisia might have shocked a few people, thinking that the Danes might come away with an easy win with this one, particularly with you look at the sides on paper, the likes of Christian Eriksen and plenty other Premier League stars in the Danish side there. But well done to Tunisia. They've certainly got their fair share of decent players.
Did me in this one. I thought Denmark were going to come away, and it was my one leg that bloody fell short. Another team there that I've also got a slight affinity to. I don't want to say it's an affinity. It's kind of like when you've got those little strands hanging off the bottom of your shirt, and it's just hanging by like a smidgen, just a small little bit left. With Tunisia there, those Facebook filters that you get on your DPs.
Yeah.
Back in the day, at the last World Cup, that was my team. I don't know if maybe I had them in a sweepstake, or maybe I'd been rocking Wabi Kazri in a player career mode or a FIFA career mode somewhere along the lines. I don't know what it was, but I remember rocking them as my little DP filter there. So, thought that was a good result for them. But we've had a few draws this tournament, quite a few 0-alls already. 4, I think, all up.
4 0-alls. I think you mentioned it last week. Ochoa did his usual, turned into prime Neuer to save Lewandowski's penalty there, like he does on many occasions when he pulls on that Mexican jersey.
He didn't have, apart from that, didn't really have too much to do in that game. I think they had 2 shots on target, Poland, the whole game.
Yeah, it was certainly a disappointing one for the Poles, I thought, and Mexico as well. Yeah, 0-all. Not many would have picked Saudi to sit atop of the group after the first match week.
Not at all.
And then good on Morocco as well. Another one of those lower ranked nations there, going up against Croatia, last edition's runners up. coming up with a 0-0 draw, Morocco there, so good on them. And then obviously Korea and Uruguay played out a pretty intense 0-0 on the night. There were a couple of chances as well for each side that you would have thought they would have tucked away, but ended up 0-0 as well. So yeah, plenty of action, but no goals in those 4 games.
Yeah, a couple of stalemates and a couple of I guess results that have made a few interesting looking tables. I think that table there with Saudi sitting top and the other two there on 1. It's definitely interesting to see. It'll be good to see how it goes after this round, after the second round of fixtures, to see where everyone's sitting in that one there. But couple of 0-0s, and you like to see the goals, but you can have games like that Korea Uruguay game, which looked like it was an awesome game to watch, even though it was a 0-0. Now must have been, was it Wednesday morning, Aussie and France?
Yeah.
And I'd got into school, and Imogen, who I work with, she's born in Australia, and she also drew Aussie in her in our sweepstake at school, and sort of rocked it in there, and I said, well, that game's on, we'll get it on the TV, and tuned in, and it was 1-0 already, so she was pretty stoked. So well done to Aussie on managing to go 1 up, but obviously I think it must have been, was there 2 goals in about 5 minutes there, I think, to sort of switch the play?
Yeah, didn't end up too well for Australia there after they ended up going 1-0 up. Yeah, 2 quick goals from the French turned things around, and then I believe they hit the post. Australia could have squared it at 2-2, but France went and kicked on from there. But look, not too shabby to lead the world champions, I say, from Australian point of view. Hoping they can make a decent run of it, and yeah, hopefully things can end up a bit better in the end result against the Danes and Tunisians. But look, in terms of France, a couple of big talking points. Obviously, the Ballon d'Or holder, Karim Benzema. No Benzema, no problem. Looking very dangerous going forward, racking up 4 goals in that one. And I think the star of the show has to be, of course, Kylian Mbappe. He was looking particularly hectic. Dembele and Griezmann as well, but look, the main shout-outs from this game, I think, the main talking point, one of the big records that's been broken in this match week, Olivier Giroud, or not broken the record yet, but equaling Thierry Henry's record of 51 goals for Les Bleus. Pretty hectic to think, Giroud is 1 goal away from becoming France's greatest ever international goal scorer, but very well deserved record for him to go down with.
Yeah,
if he does manage to snag 1 more, which you'd back him to do.
So cool to see. Obviously one of my favourite ever players to don an Arsenal shirt, Olivier Giroud. So it is. And another one of my favourite ever Arsenal players to don the shirt as well, and Thierry Henry. So 2 greats of the game, and it's weird, I guess, when not many people would think of Giroud as being the top scorer there for France.
He also became France's oldest ever player. I'm not sure, maybe outfield player, but
wow.
France's oldest ever player in that game. So, look, he's obviously going to break that record every time he plays from now on, but yeah, 1 more goal away from breaking the record. I don't think too many people would put him in the same class in his prime as Thierry Henry, but
he also has the 5th most caps.
Yeah, he's certainly racking up those accolades that he's becoming undeniable now.
Yeah, that's pretty unreal, 51 goals, 115 games, so it's and some of those goals he scored not just for France, for his club teams. There's some pretty tasty looking goals that he's managed to get himself. So
got himself a Puskas in there, did he?
I believe so.
Got a Puskas for it, but didn't win goal of the month.
That's right. That was in that that was the same week that
Mkhitaryan.
Mkhitaryan did it as well. Yeah.
So yeah, well done, Giroud. Good to see so many Gooners tearing it up at this World Cup, or ex-Gooners. Speaking of one big ex-Gooner tearing it up, Japan beating Germany 2-1. Takuma Asano, the hero on the night with the winning goal. It's good to see an ex-Gooner that, you know, not too many people would know the name, unless you are a big fan of Arsenal, but, you know, certainly was a lot of hype around him as a youngster, and one of those moments where he certainly has fulfilled a bit of that potential, bagging the winning goal up against Germany. How good.
Yeah, now Takuma Asano, obviously a name that only I'd say there'd be a small portion of Arsenal fans who are familiar with the name. Had a very fruitful 3 years at the club between 2016 and 2019, where he made a grand total of 0 appearances. But never managed to get himself a game. But yeah, there was a bit of hype about him. Bloody quick, I think. Like on FIFA, he had like a speed of like 95 or 96 or something like that. But he's a quick player. But yeah, another huge upset. This one here, Japan coming away with this one. And cool to see Japan continuing on the way that they did from their last big tournament, you know, where they were sort of praised for the amount that they went away and cleaned up the stadium and how their team left their room after the game. And it happened again. Some awesome photos of the fans moving around the stadium, picking up all the rubbish, and then, you know, I think the players even made origami. It looked like they left the changing rooms in better nick than when they first got in there, which is pretty cool to see.
It's always good to see the stories coming out from the Japanese fans and players. They're obviously a very humble bunch, and yeah, awesome to see. I'm sure not too many people would begrudge them of this one. Another huge underdog coming away with the win, so awesome. Just blew them away in that second half. I know the commentator was shouting out how fit they were as a side, and yeah, certainly showed it, because Germany didn't really have much going in that last sort of 20 minutes there. Japan just, really blitzing home. So good on them. Although one result that probably went to script a little bit in terms of the result, but definitely not in terms of how many goals you would have seen being racked up. Spain putting away 7 up against Costa Rica.
Karma.
Yeah, looking very, very hecky.
Karma.
And, you know,
Good on Spain, to be fair, because that should have been our
us.
spot. Should have been our bloody spot. Obviously you never know if that's the way that, but, you know, technically should have been New Zealand on that ball instead of Costa Rica, and we would have been involved in that, you know, a monstrous pull. And hey, we possibly may not have got anywhere near as close as we did last time around. Karma. I think a well-deserved 7-0 win there for Spain.
Yeah, it was good to see.
Plenty of good goals. And possibly a team that maybe, you know, weren't always talked about as being up there, but maybe not given as much promise for this World Cup as maybe they were deserved.
I think the talks certainly...
It'll be picking up now, that's for sure.
Between 2008 and 2014, 16, they were obviously a hell of a side. I don't know if we've ever really seen too many international sides like them. Obviously, there were some very dominant Brazilian and Argentinian sides over the years, but yeah, look, that Spain team that went Euros, World Cup, Euros, not too many other sides would have done that, but over the last few, we might have seen a bit of drop off in sort of the expectations of the Spanish side, but perhaps looking like a side, I think when I look at it from the outside, similar to England, stacked with players, you know, under the age of 23, 25, full of incredible talent, possibly even that slight bit younger than England. And then you look at the key positions. I think, defensively, they're a lot stronger centre-backs wise than England. And then you've got a leader like Busquets leading them around the park. Certainly be a team to keep an eye on and watch out for, particularly if they can play anything like they did against the Costa Ricans, because, wow, it was pretty tasty football, I must say.
Yeah, it definitely sets up to be an interesting looking pool, this one here. It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out and how they end up after the 3 games played. But it's a team that's, I think, a few teams will be worried about now. Like another team who managed to get themselves a win, and it was a lucky win that they got, and that was Belgium coming away with a sneaky little 1-0 up against Canada.
Yeah, very, very lucky, I thought. Big shout out to Thibaut Courtois, saving the pen early on there, and I think, the difference really on the day was maybe that touch of class that the Belgians do have, particularly in that final third. The Canadians definitely created enough chances to score 2 or 3 goals. But, you look at the Belgian side and Michi gets a chance or 2 and he tucks one away and off Belgium go with the 3 points. You'll be stoked with that, having drawn them in your sweepstakes.
Yeah, got them in my sweepstakes at school, so I was pretty happy. Nice to see that the pen was missed. It's kind of one of those games though, like obviously a sweepstake. I'm not really backing Belgium to go all the way and win it. And there's a few other things that I can maybe get a little bit of moolah for, but a few of those options are already coming away. So kind of one of those games where I was kind of hoping for Canada to sort of sneak a result. I got to say, managing to come back to this. When was their last World Cup? 82,
86.
86. I can't remember if it was the same as New Zealand there, but sometime in the 80s. So it was one of those teams that would have been cool to see them, get another little upset, another little scalping there. But end of the day, it's a nice result to see. It keeps me going in the sweepstakes.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those results really. I think Canada now though, the way that they've played, possibly will scare a couple of teams.
Yeah, look, Canada definitely had the better of the play. It's just like I said, that when that chance does come, can they tuck it away? Because look, if they did, they were certainly going to come away with the 3 points against Belgium there. But yeah, just some pretty average finishing on the night was the difference, I suppose. But another big record. We spoke about Giroud breaking records. Another man for breaking records. The main man in the news for the past week or two, for probably the wrong reasons. Now back doing what he does best, like we said, breaking records. In the news for the right reasons. Cristiano Ronaldo, the first player to score at 5 World Cup finals. It's pretty insane to think what's the shortest span of time you could do that in? 16 years.
Yeah.
If you started your career.
16, yeah.
Got called up for your debut, then you'd have to, So 16 years to play for an international side and score at a World Cup. It's pretty crazy. I think you said Closer had done 4. Has anyone else done 4?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find. I believe it is also Pele.
Pele's done 4.
Has
obviously
done 4,
a legend of the game.
And I'm going to butcher this pronunciation of the name here. Sila, who
Yugoslavia?
German.
German.
Uwesseeler. He scored in the 58, 62 then 66, and then in the 1970, and then Miroslav Klose. I said before that it was I got the dates wrong there. So for Klose it was 2002, 2006, 2010, and 2014. And Messi.
Messi is
2006, 2014, 2018, and 2022.
So Messi didn't score in 2010.
Didn't score in 2010.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was a pretty hectic game, that one. 3-2 to Portugal in the end. Look, Ghana could have stolen it right at the end with that point there. Rui Patricio having a bit of a brain fart, I suppose, rolling the ball out without realising the striker was behind him. But, yeah, 3-2 after it being 0-0 at half-time. Pretty intense game.
Costa in goal, I think it was. Diego Costa,
sorry.
I think it was.
Not
It was in
Patricio.
goal. But yeah, definitely a little bit of a scary moment. I can't say as a goalkeeper that's something I've ever done myself.
I like to think you're a bit more aware.
Well, I obviously don't bat myself off the ground anywhere near as much as I do kicking it out of my hands.
And you're not much of a time waster. You always picked it up and kicked it as fast as you could.
I was always
just out of habit.
I was always trying to get you or Jay running down there, boost you down there with your pace. But I guess the only time I ever really time wasted was when I'd run to get the ball. I'd often slow my jog down because I was bloody knackered. And I'd yell at the striker, mate, I'm a goalkeeper for a reason, put these shots on target so I don't have to be running anywhere. But yeah, can't say it's ever happened to me as a goalkeeper, but definitely, if you haven't seen it, you're going to have to go out and have a look at it. It's pretty dodgy. And it could have been a little point snuck there for Ghana. We also had Brazil picking up a win this morning. I guess an expected win there up against Serbia, but I guess all the talk about is that second goal there from Richarlison. What a finish! Yeah,
look, Peter Drury summed it up pretty perfectly when it went in. He said, "That is Brazil." Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. What a goal! That's what you come to expect when you see the Brazilian side, especially at the World Cup. Richarlison stepping up, big man. What a goal. Early contender for goal of the World Cup. I think it'll be a tough one to beat unless someone can pull something out of a similar style from maybe further out on the pitch, or maybe someone curls in a 30 yarder or a 25 yard free kick or something. But yeah, what a goal, eh?
Yeah, unreal, eh? Like, obviously that touch a little bit iffy. They said it. He didn't. I don't think he meant to take it that far away, but to have the skill to be able to pull off a finish like that, it's just a bugger that he's a Spurs player.
Yeah.
Really, that's the only problem. I guess the good thing is that he's a completely different player when he plays for Spurs and when he plays for Brazil. But one of those teams that I think people were talking about prior to this that are going to look to be going all the way. Probably a nice solid 2-0 win. They'll be happy with the clean sheet, and I think they'll be happy to see that Richarlison is looking like he's playing on fire for them. So Brazil fans will be happy. There was a good atmosphere there at the World Cup, at the game for this game of the World Cup, and people were saying that possibly the best atmosphere so far out of those first games. But I guess one of the talking points that we haven't really said anything on yet, all of this bloody added time.
Yeah, it's been very hectic. Obviously, first picked up on it big time in that England game where we had a couple of 55, 60-minute halves there. It's pretty hectic. Records obviously been broken all over the place for longest half of football and longest games without extra time and latest goals to be scored and all of that. Yeah, it's pretty hectic. But like, I think you explained it to me. It was that FIFA trying to crack down on time wasting a bit. Perhaps adding the time the ball's out of play or subs or VAR checks a bit better than they do previously, or in other league football. I think we see a few 2 or 3 minute checks that only add a minute or two to the end of a couple of games. But to be honest, I think it makes it a bit more fair on those teams that are down by one or maybe drawing the game and chasing the win. Because, there's nothing worse than chasing a result and the other team's fucking wasting time on you.
One of those things, I think,
see.
It's good to see that they've cracked down on it. I think, there's plenty of time. A lot of it as well they've looked at as, that the amount of time that the ball is just out of play. When you score a goal, you run back to halfway, you've had your celebration, you miss a bit of time there. Just like a lot of those small things that end up, throughout a game adding up. If you've had 3 goals in the first half, there's a chance that you've lost 3 or 4 minutes just on the time it takes to get through that, So it is good to see, but I think some of the lads will probably be feeling it a little bit, playing these games that sort of equate to an extra time game. I think that England game was over 120 minutes, possibly 119 maybe. Something crazy though.
And the heat, pretty severe.
And the heat as well, yeah.
Oh well, I'm sure they'll be able to cope. They're all fit enough, and hopefully they would have been doing their conditioning over the years. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I saw that a few of the teams, I think it was Wales, had to sort of move their training to about like 4 in the afternoon or something like that, 4 or 5, just to sort of deal with it. They were sweltering even in their hotel rooms. So, I guess that's why a lot of this talk about some of these nations that come from warmer conditions maybe giving it a good crack this time around. A couple of big games, I guess, to look at. A couple of games that look like they may have a few ramifications on the way knockout footy looks for this World Cup, and I think the main pool that everyone's looking at is that pool there, Poland and Saudi Arabia, and Argentina and Mexico. 2 big games there, Poland up against the Saudis and Argentina up against Mexico, that depending on how they go, we could have a very interesting looking knockout round.
Yeah, look, if Saudi can pull up another shock result, obviously not as big of a shock, but still probably will be going in as underdogs against the Poles, I believe that would see them through to the knockout round. And then you got Mexico obviously on a point, so look, I'm sure if they can get out of their game against Argentina and be above them in the group, only have to play Saudi Arabia, I'm sure they'll back themselves to go through as well. So yeah, interesting one. And of course, if Poland can pick up the win, it'll set up. If Poland and Argentina, can pick up wins, it'll set up a huge one where all 4 teams can go through. So definitely keep your eyes out for that. I'll be back in the Saudis. I've got them in my sweepstakes, so come on the lads. We love to, like we said, we love to see an underdog. Wouldn't it be awesome if we saw Argentina not make it through from that group? Poland, Mexico, I'm kind of indifferent about both of them, but definitely awesome to see Saudi go through.
Yeah, it'd be so awesome, eh? Like, we had a little talk about it before, but it's just one of those things. Imagine if, they go down as that team that knocks out Argentina.
Yeah.
It would be awesome. And then, I guess, looking at big teams that could possibly be missing out, Germany got it all to play for up against Spain.
Yeah, look, Germany obviously up against, I think you'd probably rate Japan as tougher opposition than the Costa Ricans, and Germany will be back into certainly defend a lot better than the Costa Ricans did up against Spain, but if the Spanish can pick up the win there, that'll be the Germans gone 2 World Cups in a row in the group stages, which would be pretty big. It's not often you associate the Germans and not doing well at Football World Cups. Obviously winning that one in 2014, and yeah, they were everyone's darlings at home in 2006, and yeah, I've had some really good performances lately, but 2 exits at the group stage would not be good reading for the Germans.
Not at all. But I guess probably the 3 main games there that you're looking at for this round. We'll have a look at how they go when we talk to you next week, and we'll hopefully, for the Saudi sake, have something interesting to talk about. But I guess we have a little look at the cricket.
Yeah, a bit of cricket, shall we? The Black Caps, obviously up against India in the home T20 series. Not the best of showings from the lads off the back of the recent T20 World Cup, with a loss and a tie and a washout in those 3 games there. But that second game there, we saw the evolution of cricket's newest star, Surya Kumar Yadav. He was definitely the star of the show in that one, without a shadow of a doubt. I think you were mentioned while we were watching that it was probably one of the craziest innings that you've ever seen. Pretty fair to say, I reckon. He was smacking our bowlers to all ends of the ground and with ease. Like, it didn't even look like he was slogging. It was just nice stroke play. Shows why he's ranked number 1 in the world at the moment. What did he end up? 111 off 54, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that. That was probably, like you said, I think probably one of the most hectic batting performances I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Couple of sixes that he got where he there was one that he got. He just stuck his bat onto it, and it looked like it might have been caught out, and it just flew, and it ended up going, I don't know, maybe like a good 10 or 15 over the boundary. It was unreal. I think there was I don't know what the overs were, 14, 15, 16, 17, or 15 through to 18. There was 67 runs scored off it. I think one over went for 22 or something like that.
And he probably scored 63 of those.
Yeah, it was unreal. And he was on face for so long, and then managed to, what was it? I don't know, what was it, the last over? When Southey got the hat trick?
Yes,
and yeah. He must have had a 2 or even a boundary on the last ball of that over, and then I don't know who it was that was facing, but he couldn't get off strike. May have even had a 2 to start off that over, I believe, possibly, and then Southey managed to go on and get that hat trick. But yeah, not the best run chase from us.
Yeah, no. It was about as good as it got. Was the hat trick on the night for us there on that second game. Falling a bit short with the bat. I think we got bowled out.
120 something.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I think we fell about 60 runs short. I think
was not the best. And look, we certainly improved a little bit in the third game, particularly Phillips and Conway there, putting together a pretty nice partnership. Both picking up their 50s. But then, once those 2 were out, it was a hideous collapse. And again, bowled out. All out in a 2020 is never good showing. Which, probably left us about 20 or 30 short of where we were probably looking like getting to when we had Conway and Phillips and going great guns.
Probably goes from one of the best batting performances I've ever seen to one of the worst.
Yeah.
And this one, I've never seen a collapse like that. I think what was it, 7 wickets for 14 runs?
Yeah.
I think we were what did we? I think we were 100 and I want to say
146 for 3.
146 for 3.
All out for
160. So yeah. It was nuts. I've never seen anything like it. It was and there was 2 or 3 wickets that were identical, where the bowlers were just slamming it into the ground, would stick our bat on it, and up, and then caught out. So, not the best best result there, really. Hopefully, sort of can get it out of the system early on before we get into the rest of the cricket.
Yeah, definitely don't want to be having a collapse like that in a test or a one-dayer. But the Indian chase, look, it started off pretty well for the Black Caps, picking up a few early wickets, and then India clawed their way back through Hardik Pandya. Ended up being level on Duckworth Lewis par when they got rained off, so yeah. Oh well, unlucky lads. Hopefully have a bit more of this nicer weather like we're having today, so that we can get a full day's cricket and 5 days in a row when it does come time for those tests, rather than the weather that we've had over that Indian T20 series there. But it's always typical of early New Zealand summer, a bit of rain. It's probably about it for the T20s. As we look towards a few one-dayers against India, like I said, one being played today at the moment. Probably pretty tough up against the Indians there, but like you said, we're the number one ranked one-day side in the world, so it'd be nice to see us get back and win the series after losing the T20 series. Good to see Finn Allen maybe go out and bat 15 or 20 overs in one of these one-dayers and get some confidence behind him, because he stormed into the side last year and took Guppy's spot for the World Cup, and we saw a really good innings from him up against the Australians there, but sort of hasn't kicked on with that potential he showed in those first few knocks. So come on, the lads.
Yeah, there's been a couple of performances there that he really hasn't been up to scratch where we would have liked to seen him get to, but hopefully he can kick on, like you said, bat for more than just the couple of overs or the few balls that he's been getting. But I believe we've had a game on at some stage today. I believe it's on at the moment. I'm not too sure how we're going, but it's it's good to see that we've got a little bit more cricket to sink our teeth into over the next wee while. So yeah, it's good to see the Kiwis getting another crack here against India after obviously the losing there in the 2020. So hopefully we can come away with the win here. I kind of had sort of forgot, as I must have slipped my mind, or maybe I didn't even know that we were there sitting at the top, or we'd gone back to top rankings there after I think Aussie and England had played recently.
Possibly after England lost a couple of games against Australia. I know England are definitely up there. I would probably also say Australia and India would be close. So yeah, good to see a bit of cricket, but I think after these 3 one-days up against the Indians, the lads have a month or so off, so possibly looking at a few Black Caps turning out in the Big Bash or the Super Smash here in New Zealand for the local first-class teams here, but I'm pretty sure the next cricket that is international cricket, at least, that we'll be viewing from these shores here down in Aotearoa, a couple of tests over the new year against Pakistan, and then I believe England and Sri Lanka are also touring. So yeah, plenty of cricket to enjoy this summer, and hopefully the Black Caps can pick up a few wins for us.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I'm just trying to have a little look then. I think you're right, it was Pakistan as the next international cricket there up against the Black Caps.
Ending on New Year's Day?
Yep, the first test ending on New Year's Day. Where is it being played? In Pakistan.
Oh, so we're going to Pakistan.
NSK main building is what it says there, yeah. in Pakistan. So I thought it must have been in New Zealand, but no.
And then England and Sri Lanka come here.
England is...
Well, England would have to
at
come
Bay
here.
Oval, yep, so they'll be coming here, yep.
That's their winter.
And
Sri Lanka
Sri
come
Lanka is also New Zealand, yep.
Cool.
So...
Oh, well, a little New Year's trip to Pakistan for a few of the lads.
So how does that affect us in terms of timing then? Are we're still on for a bit of cricket throughout the New Year's period in the daytime?
I'd hope so.
What's the time difference there? I'll have a little look. Pakistan local time currently is 11:11. So they are...
So that would be about the start of the test match now. So it would be evening viewing.
Yes, not too bad. There won't be any
It'll be over
test
Christmas.
match cricket on the
It's
radio
in the silly
on
season.
the golf course.
It's in the silly season. You can stay up till 2 o'clock
You
in the
can.
morning watching the Black Caps play in Pakistan.
You can wake up at 12:30 and have some ham on toast and have a beer.
And then go for a round and then watch the cricket.
You can...
What a summer.
Or you can have an early one. You can go to bed at 7:30 in the silly season. You might be filled up already. You might have had your 5th serving of ham on toast. You might be chock-a-blocked, and you might be going to bed at 7:30 and waking up at 6 and getting in around whatever way it is. But enough about talking about ham on toast. It's getting me hungry. I guess we have a little look in, a little check in to see how our two teams are going in the NBA.
Yeah, obviously over there in America, if anyone from America is listening, happy Thanksgiving. But yeah, NBA day off today, I believe, with Thanksgiving. Obviously hugely celebrated over there, but the Knicks still sitting at 50%, 9-9, just cruising around. It'd be good to make a little break, a little run of wins shortly, just to sort of firm up that spot in the 8, rather than hanging around. I believe we're 7th, 8th, 9th, but always happy to be involved in the playoff picture. Come on, the lads. A few wins. Let's see it before that All-Star break, and we'll get in and hopefully be looking at a good run to close out the season and get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
How about your Wizards? Looking a little bit prettier than the Knicks. Sitting one win and one loss better.
Yeah, currently sitting there at 10-8. Sitting at 6th there in the ladder, so just a little bit above your lads there. So hoping to sort of keep it up for a little bit longer throughout this very, very long season. But it's nice to see for now. I'm happy to see the way that the Wizards are going. Excuse me. So I think as long as we can keep the main players fit. Oh, sorry. Yeah, obviously I think Beal being one of those players. If we can keep him fit and keep him happy, hopefully we can sort of push on. Probably nearly wraps us up. I guess we'll have a little quick check-in on the darts.
Yep, you can.
Now we've got
the punters through.
We've got the Players' Championships finals coming up over the next few days. I believe it might start tomorrow here for our time. Couple of big matchups in the first round. We've got Danny Nopper up against Simon Whitlock, so that'll be a tasty one there. I think the way those two have been playing recently, I think it'll be a good one. We've also got Joe Cullen up against Roby John Rodriguez, so one of my more favourite players. He's got an awesome walk-on.
Shout out
awesome
Roby John.
walk-on song.
Awesome name.
Roby John.
Roby John.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Roby Joel.
No, I said Roby John. What are his two brothers' names?
We've got Roby John, you've got Rusty Jake, and you've got Roxy James. So
hectic names.
Bloody cool. Filipino Austrian, I believe. Is the mix up there. So awesome walk-on song. Vamos a la playa. A groovy little. You can have a groovy little dance to that one there when he comes out. So, and I think he'll be looking to push Joe Cullen, although Joe Cullen's been playing some pretty nice darts at the moment. But looking more locally, big shout out to Ben Robb, who'll be off to the World Champs. I believe heading off next week. Saw him up at Birkenhead Darts Club there on Wednesday. He came in for a last little throw before he heads off to the World Champs, and I believe into the Motor Super Series there on YouTube online league before he gets into that. So good luck to him. Waving the Kiwi flag over there for all of us. Probably wraps us up. Bit of a shorter one for you this week. Obviously a little bit less to delve into there, but I guess for your sake you don't have to listen to us dribble on for too much longer. Thank you all for listening as always.
Yeah, like you said, not as much footy this week to talk on, so a bit shorter. But yeah, thanks for listening. If you've made it this far, remember to give us a like and a 5-star, and subscribe to the podcast. Every little bit helps, and follow us and like our posts on social media as well. But yeah, enjoy the World Cup. Enjoy your week ahead, whether you're watching the cricket, watching the football, or whatever it is you do. But make sure, like we always say, if you're having a punt, do it responsibly, and remember to tune in next week. See you then.
Bye for now.